Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we will talk about functional structure, its advantages and disadvantages. Functional structure is where jobs of similar nature are grouped into a single function and there will be multiple functions within an organization. Let me show you an example that will drive the point better. Now, you see there is a company. A company will have a lot of departments. You must have heard the word departments, isn't it? So, how do departments get created? Departments are created based on the functions they do. You must have heard of sales department, marketing department, finance department. In an organization where they divide jobs similar to sales function and then they will create that as a sales department. Similarly, they will create marketing department, finance department, HR, operations. Operations is nothing but production and logistics. Similarly, you will also get to have few more departments. For want of space, I have just stopped with 5. Few more examples of functions could be IT, that is information technology, and then legal and secretarial, and you also have audit, and you also have administration. So, a company which does not have too many varieties of products. Let's say a company that makes only automobile, they deal with only two-wheelers. If that is the situation, they don't have much of a product differentiation, isn't it? That they don't have many varieties of products. So I hope you understood what is a functional structure. Functional structure is suitable for companies with similar lines of operations. But that is, the company does not have a lot of product differentiation. If you take Hindustan Unilever, you see that company has a lot of products. It deals with a lot of FMCG goods. You have shampoos, you have food items, you have detergents, you have soaps, so many different categories across consumer goods. So that company will not find it suitable to have a functional based structure. So companies like HUL, ITC, Procter & Gamble, where they have a breadth of variety of products, those companies will find divisional structure to be much better for them. But companies like IOC, BPCL, HPCL, ONGC, SAIL, these companies deal with a single type of product. SAIL deals with steel, ONGC deals with oil and natural gas, and then IOC, petrol, HPCL, Hindustan Petroleum, petrol, Bharat Petroleum, petrol. So these companies don't have wide variety of products, but they are large in size. So companies with a similar line of operations but of huge in size, they prefer functional structure. Now let's go to what are the advantages and disadvantages of functional structure. The first point is specialization. Because functions are divided based on similar jobs, a person who gets recruited as marketing, he can be anywhere in the hierarchy, but his job will be restricted to only marketing function. So when I became CA, I went into audit function in a company. So my job was only to take care of audit process alone. So I did not interfere with marketing process. I did not interfere with accounting process. My job was only to take care of the audit function of that company. So that means because I was doing a similar nature of work again and again, it led me to a specialized person in the area of audit. So that was the first point. The second point is functional structure promotes control and coordination within the department. Again, every person in this hierarchy, let's say from VP marketing till the assistant, every person in the hierarchy would be almost similarly qualified. Most likely they would be MBA marketing. So they must have studied pretty much the same thing. They must have grown around the same circle of people. They must have gone to similar type of colleges. So because of that, they will be pretty much like-minded people. Again, to give you my example, the audit team where I worked, almost all of us were CAs, or at least they were doing CA or CMAs. We all grew up with studying the same subject. Almost we had same set of friends. Therefore, we were much more coordinated and we were much more efficient in our job. So that is the second advantage, promotes control and coordination within the department. Third point is makes the training of employees easy. Because the functions are similarized and the scope is narrowed down, An executive from finance department would be asked to do the 15 to 20 things that was in his job description. So he does not need to worry about what goes on in marketing department or what goes on in HR department. That's how it works for every other department as well. So you just need to take care of what has been assigned to you. So because of this, the training of new employees becomes much easier. You don't have to worry about 200 different things. You just have to train them on the 15-20 things that they are supposed to do. So those are the advantages of functional structure. Let's talk about the disadvantages. First point is creation of functional empires. So what happens, all these heads who are at each function, let's say VP HR, VP operations, they will start to think that their department itself is a separate company. So they will start to create functional empire, meaning they will try to get as much influence and as much power within the organization. And because of that, they will try to cover themselves first. So a VP HR will try to think that HR is the best department in the organization. Only because of HR department, the whole company is surviving. They will have such type of an attitude and they will run their function based on that attitude. That means they will disregard all the other functions. They will not cooperate properly. In fact, a team will have its own objectives and then the organization overall will have its own objective. I will give you another example. VP operation, let's say production. VP production or VP operation, what will be the objective of VP production? To make as much production as possible at cheaper cost. Now the organization as a whole will have a different objective, that is to make as much profit as possible. Currently, the market may not be that favorable for a particular company. Therefore, the production department need not make as much production as possible. But if the production department doesn't produce, then they will look bad in front of other people. Naturally, the people who work in factory, their drive will be to maximize everything as much as possible. If you say that we need only 10,000 units of this, they will automatically think that why can't it be 15,000? Why can't it be 20,000? Let's double this. They will say that if you overproduce, the overall cost will come down. The per unit cost will come down. They will talk like that. That means they will try to tick their objectives only and they will not consider the overall organization's objective. So that's exactly what the problem with creation of functional empires. They will not consider the company's interest. They will look at only the self-interest. Next, difficulty in coordination, CFT issues. Again, in the advantages section, I just said that each of them will grow up in their own circle of environment. So people from marketing might find it very hard to work with people from finance because they two are two different functions. Their both worlds are different. They would have studied in entirely different colleges. So the language they speak, the jargons they use, the marketing people use and the jargons that finance people use will be very different. So that makes coordination and cross-functional working extremely difficult. Next thing is conflict of interest. Now, this third point, conflict of interest, is similar to the second point, which is difficulty in coordination. For example, you must have read this line on YouTube. An architect's dream is engineer's nightmare. You must have heard this. What is an architect's dream? An architect is a person who just draws on paper. So he can get as creative as possible. He can draw the most complicated design. But who is responsible for actually making it happen? Engineer. So an architect dream is an engineer's nightmare. See, in a company, the example which I said, architect is similar to a marketing guy and the engineer is similar to the production guy. The marketing guy will come up with the brand design, brand logo, the product design and everything. He can simply draw a blueprint in his computer. He will just give a 3D diagram. Okay, let's talk about making of a cell phone. He will come up with an extremely fancy design and he will say that if we make our new phone model like this, it will be much better than everything. But who is the one actually responsible for making it happen in real life? The operations guy. The operations guy will end up having a lot of difficulty while actually manufacturing it. So these two people will always be fighting most likely. So this is the example of conflict of interest. So let's go to the last point, which is leads to inflexibility and narrowness of perspective. This is quite contradictory to what we studied in specialization because it works both ways. When a person keeps doing the same thing, yes, the advantage is the person gets specialized, so it takes lesser and lesser time for the person to do the same job over a period of time. Therefore, it will lead to efficiency. So that's the positive aspect of it. But what is the other side, downside to it? If you keep doing the same thing again and again and again, you become very narrow in your perspective. You will become so closed to considering the thoughts of others. You will become very inflexible. So you will start to think like, I work in this way, so everybody else also should work in the same way. You will not be open to their perspective. You will not be ready to be standing on their shoes. It will lead to inflexibility. It will lead to lack of empathy. That's another disadvantage. That's it for today's video. We will talk about divisional structure, its advantages and disadvantages in the next video. Thank you and bye bye.